And also 3.7 deals with systems of inequalities. And also when we look at graphing inequalities, remember your inequalities are your less than and greater than, less than and equals, and greater than or equals. All right, so I'm going to show you how we actually graph these based on the symbols they're giving you, okay? So the first thing we look at is what kind of line do we draw the graph with? If you got equals under the inequality, so if it's greater than or equals or less than or equals, we use the solid line. Okay. So the equals would have a solid line. If it's greater than or less than, we use a dashed line. So what this means, if it's a solid line, that means that the ordered pairs that are along that line make the equation true. If it's a dashed line, then any of the ordered pairs on the dashed line make the inequality false. Okay, so the equals has to be the solid line, and if it don't have an equals, we use a dashed line. So the first two tell us what kind of line to draw. Then we figure whether we're going to shade above the line or below the line. So if it's greater than or equal, so as long as it's greater than, we're going to shade above the line. And then y'all asked if it's less than or less than an equal, we're going to shade below the line. So I'm going to play with one of these before we actually get into their examples here to sort of show you what is going on here. So we're just going to graph the solution of y greater than or equal to 2x plus 1. So first you got to realize, since that's a greater than or equals, there's infinitely many numbers I can put in for this x and get a y value that would be greater than that, okay? So just remember, this gives me more than one solution because it's got that greater than there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to graph this, and then we will shade the region that gives this the true answer, okay? Oh, I'm going to try to keep my numbers small, so I'm going to number this out about 5 to start. So I'm just going to find me some x values. So I'm just going to use 0 and 1 because those are easy to multiply. So first I'll put a 0 in. Well, 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1. So I get my y. When x is 0, y is 1. So I'm going to plot that point. So let me go here. 0 on the x-axis, up 1 on the y. So next I'm going to put a 1 in for the x. All right, well, 2 times 1 is 2. So I get 2 plus 1, which gives me 3. So when x is 1, y is 3. So I'm going to go right 1 and up 3. So you got your 2 points. Now, we got to figure out what kind of line we got. So you notice this has a greater than or equals. So we said right here, if it's greater than or equals, we're going to use a solid line. So you would come through here, and this would be a solid line coming down through here. Because that means any point on the line makes it true because of the equals on it, okay? Now, we got to figure, do we want to shade this above or below? So notice we got a greater than or equals. So it says right here, if it's greater or greater than or equals, we shade above the line. So you would come in and shade this right above that line there. So what that means though in the long run is that any point that you pick out of this shaded area will make the inequality true when you plug into it. Any point that's not shaded will make that false when you plug into it, okay? Now I'm going to pull up MathLab real quick on my end and start working some of these and showing you how to do these in MathLab. All right, I'm almost there. This is let me see. Actually, let me go share my screen now. Hey y'all, so I'm gonna actually show you how you would work these in MathLab now. So y'all should be seeing my first problem here. Y greater than x minus 6. So I'm gonna write this down. And then show y'all how I would actually graph these answers in this MathLab, okay? So I'm gonna work it by hand. Now, I'll show you how to use these on the calculator too, okay? So first by hand, I need to graph 2 points on this, okay? So it's already solved for y, so I just need to pick 2 x values. So any numbers will work. So I think on this one, Oh, I might do what zero works. And then I'll change it instead of doing a 1 this time, and I'll do a 3. This to show you it don't matter what points you pick on these, okay? So solve it for the y by putting a 0 in for the x. Well, when I'm 0 minus 6 gives me a -6. So when x is 0, y is -6. And then let me put a 3 in for my x. Well, 3 minus 6 would give me a -3. So I got 2 points I'm going to graph. Now in MATLAB, when we're graphing a line, we need to use the line tool. It's also going to have an option for my line. It'll give me the option of choosing a solid line or a dashed line. So for this one, since I don't have the equals, I will choose the dashed line, okay? So I'm going to choose the dashed line, the line tool, and plot my 2 points. Once I get that plotted, there's a little paint can that you'll see. This little paint can, we got to drag it either above or below the line. Since mine's greater than, I know I'm going to be shading above the line. So I'm going to drag the paint can above the line there, okay? So y'all let me go plot these 2 points in MATLAB. So I'm going to click on Enlarge Graph. I'm going to choose the line tool first. Now, if you notice by the paint can, you got a solid line. By default, it's on the solid line. Well, remember, I needed the dash line, so I'm going to click the dash line. And then I'm going to plot my 2 points. I had 0, -6. So at 0, I'm going to go down to -6. And then my next point was 3, -3. So I'm going to go right 3 and down 3. All right, so you got your 2 points graphed. It's got the dashed line going through there. Now, since it's greater than, I need to shade above the line. So y'all see the little paint can here? I'm going to grab it and drag it above my line and click. Once you click, it shades the top part of that graph, which means anything that's yellow makes that true when we plug it in. And then the white region would make it false when you plug it in, okay? So basically, we're just going to see how they shade and move on. All right, so I'm going to go back to that one. So let me show you how to do these on the calculator. So I'm going to share my calculator screen. Now this will do on the calculator, or if you got the Calculate 84 phone app, it'll work on that one also, okay? So I'm going to go to y equals. So top left, you got that y equals. And I had x minus 6. So I'm going to put in my x minus 6. Now, y'all, the only thing the calculator won't do, it won't give us the dashed lines and the solid lines. It always graphs with solid lines on here. But if you wanted points to plot, you would hit second graph, and there's a table of all the points. So I had, there's my 0, -6 that I used. And then if I go to 3, there's my 3, -3 that I used. But y'all, pick any 2 of these points and graph them, okay? Now, y'all, I'm actually going to show you how the calculator will shade for you if you want it to. So I've got my equation in. I'm going to arrow left. all the way left, and you see that line blinking? I'm going to hit enter until it gives me a triangle that shades above. You see this triangle right here? It's bigger on top. This one will shade above. And if I hit enter again, this triangle that's bigger on the bottom will shade below the line. Okay? So I'm going to click enter until I get the triangle that shades above again. So this one will shade above. So when I hit graph, it's going to look like what we put on our paper wall go. And y'all, it shades the top half of my graph for me, okay? All right, so question on that. So I'll do a whole lot more of these. I just want y'all to see. Now, if I want to clear that triangle stuff off, I just hit clear and it clears it off, okay? All right, y'all, so the main thing that makes this section maybe a little tough is because sometimes you got to solve these for the y. So let's see what we got. 3x minus 4y is less than or equal to negative 16. All right, so I'm gonna work this by hand again. Now, I will say this. Since this is an inequality, you got to remember one thing here. Anytime you're solving inequalities, remember this. We must reverse the inequality when dividing by a negative number. Okay, so if you're solving an inequality and you got to divide by a negative number, you got to turn that inequality around and face the other direction, okay? All righty, y'all. So I'm going to solve this for the y. So my first step, I need to move this 3x to the other side because I want to get this negative 4y by itself. So since 3x is positive, to move in, we're going to subtract 3x from both sides. So those x's cancel. That's going to leave this negative 4y less than or equals. And then order don't matter. I usually put my x's first and then my numbers. But you could do the number minus the 3x either way. What you can't do is add them together. So y'all, I'm just going to put my x's first and make that a negative 3x minus 16. So they're not like terms. We can't make that a negative 19 or nothing like that, okay? But y'all look here. I now got a negative 4y here. We need to make that a positive y. So to turn a negative 4y into a positive 1, we got to divide by negative 4. That means I'm going to divide negative 3 by negative 4 for my x, and then my 16 by negative 4. I just divided by a negative number. And we wrote right here that we got to reverse the inequality. So this less than and equals will now become a greater than or equals. So right here, we got to flip the inequality. And y'all, that's because we actually did divide by that negative 4, okay? So right here, negative 4 divided by negative 4 makes that a 1y greater than or equal. Oh, right here, I can't do number to 3/4, but the negative divided by negative makes that a positive 3/4. So that's a positive 3/4 x. And then this negative 16 divided by negative 4 makes that a positive 4. So the trick where I get people on this is they forget to reverse that little inequality when they divide it by these negative numbers, okay? So you got to do that move right there. All right, at this point, I can put it into my calculator. I think if I was doing it by hand, I'm always going to pick a 0 because 0 times 3/4 is 0, and 0 plus 4 gives you a 4. Okay, so all I did on that one, like I said, that 0 times 3/4 made that a 0 plus 4, which gave me the 4. Now I'm going to be picky on my second number. Since that's a fraction with a 4 in the denominator, my second x value, I'm going to pick a 4. Because when I plug into that 4 here, now look at this. This 4 divides this 4, so they cancel out, making a 1 basically. So I canceled out the denominator of the fraction. So 3 times 1 is 3, plus my 4. And then 3 plus 4 give me 7. But y'all remember, at this point, you can use the calculator to get those 2 points, okay? So let's go look at it on the calculator real quick. So I'm going to go to y equals, I'm going to put in my equation. I had 3 divided by 4 and my x. And then that was what, plus 4. So you still had to actually get it solved to actually put it in here. But let's look at the table, second graph. So y'all, there's 0, 4 we got a while ago. And then, look here, I skipped 1, 2, and 3 because those gave you decimal answers. But when I put my 4 in, we got a 7. So since this had a 4 on the bottom, any multiple of 4 will give you a good number to plot, like 8 and 10 and so forth. Anything in between those multiples of 4 gave me decimals to plot. But pick you out 2 points on here. Now let's look what our graph will look like. So I'm going to go all the way left because this one was greater than. Now you got to go back to the equation that you got solved. So that was y greater than or equals. So I'm going to hit enter until I got the triangle that's bigger on top, right there. And then I'll hit graph. So I know when I'm done, my graph should look similar to that, okay? So let's go to MathLab. I'm going to click to enlarge my graph. I'm going to choose the line tool. Now this one was greater than or equals, so I need the solid line highlighted, which by default, it has that solid line highlighted, okay? So 0, 4 would be 0 and up 4. My second point I had was a 4, 7, so right 4 and up 7. So I got my solid line graphed, and then this was greater than, so I'm going to drag my paint can above it. And at that point, it looks like my calculator. Remember that top part being shaded going across there, okay? So you save that answer and check it and move on. All righty, y'all. So let's play with this one. X greater than 5. So on the graph that real quick. Hey, y'all. So that was X was what? Greater than 5. When I graph it, I'm going to treat it like X is equal to 5. Okay. Now, anytime you got X is equal to a number, X is greater than a number, these are going to be vertical lines. X's make vertical lines. When we do the Y's will make horizontal lines, okay? So X equals 5. Come over here on the X-axis to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is right here. Since this is 5 on the X-axis, the graph of X equals 5 would be a vertical line right here. Every point on this vertical line so y'all, every point on this vertical line, what's the X value equal? All these have an X value of 5. Right? This is 5, 0, 5, -1, 5, -2, 5, -3. Going the other way, 5, 1, 5, 2, 5, 3. No matter what, any point on this vertical line has an X value of 5, okay? Now, all you see when they make a graph usually is the main X and Y axis. But y'all, these lines go on forever just like that X and Y axis. So no matter what, any point on this line has an X value of 5. So if I was going to plot 2 points that make this line, well, no matter what, both of these X values has to be a 5. Right? Because if you look on this line, no matter where I pick a point at, that X value is 5 on all of those, right? So you can pick any Y values you want. You could do a 0. You could do a 4 if you wanted to. Because if you plot it, here's 5, 0. And if I went up 4, this would be 5, 4. Any of those points you pick have to be in that vertical line, okay? So when you plot X is greater than 5, X equals 5, X less than 5 even, every X value must be 5. Okay, we don't care what the Y values are. But on this kind of equation, every X value must be 5 on that, okay? Now, when I do that, it'll be a dotted line because there's no equals under here. So I'm going to make a dashed line going up here. So y'all, here's the question though. This says x greater than 5. Or x is greater to the right, or x is greater to the left. And if you notice, these x values are getting larger as they go to the right. They're smaller as you go to the left. So when it's greater than the number, you're going to shade to the right of the line. If it's less than, we would shade to the left of the line, okay? So y'all, let's go play with the math lab and see what it's wanting us to do. So we'll play with this one that I had, x greater than 5. So I'm going to click to enlarge my graph. So it's going to be the line tool. And we got to choose the dotted line, okay? If you don't change that to a dotted line, it'll mark those wrong. Now, since it's x greater than 5, I'm just going to go find 5 on the x-axis. Click that. And then you can go straight up or straight down. It don't matter where you put that other point. So I actually use 5, 4, so I'm going to go up to 4. Click that. So it's got my dashed line. And we said greater than shades to the right. So you click your paint can and then click on the right side. So now look, I got all this shaded, but every X value that I shaded is greater than that 5. All these on this line have an X value of 6. All these have an X value of 7. All those have an X value of 8. All those X values are greater than 5, okay? So then we would save that and check our answer. All right, y'all, so I'm gonna go back. So it changed it up for me. X is greater than a negative 7. So it's still a line tool. So I'm gonna grab that line tool. It's gonna be a dotted line because there's not an equals under that greater than. So this one says X is greater than negative 7. So y'all watch this. My first point, I'm going to go left over here to negative 7 on the x-axis. I'm going to click that. Now we know these are vertical lines, so you can either go up or down at that point. So I'll just go up a little bit, click my line. It's still greater than, so watch this. I'm going to click my paint pan and click to the right side of the line. Okay. So any x value that is shaded is now greater than the x value of negative 7. So you save that, and you'll check your answer. Oh, let's try one more of these because I got a less than 6 here this time. So line tool, dashed line because there's not an equals. So less than 6. So guess what? I'm going to go to 6 on the x-axis. Click that. Up or down. This time I'll go down. So I got my vertical line crossing it. The 6 on the x-axis. So shade left or right. Because this one's now less than. So y'all, what you're going to do is grab that paint can and shade on the left side. Now, y'all, I'll tell you a little trick. When it's got X's here, you see that inequality is pointing the way I'm shading. Right, so less than, it's pointing left, so shade to the left side. Greater than points right, so I would shade to the right side of those, okay? So y'all just remember, X's make vertical lines, okay? So let's see, number 4 is going to be the y. Watch this. So this is y greater than or equal to a -4. So y'all, if these x's, if these were vertical lines, these y equations are going to make horizontal lines. Now, if you was to look at a graph on one of these and graph these by hand, it don't matter what these x's are because there's not even an x in the equation up here. What this means is every single y value has to be -4. So every y value must be -4. It don't care what these x values are. You can pick whatever two numbers you want to. What does matter is the y values on this are always -4, okay? So what I do on these, I find -4 on the y-axis, and then I just go left or right and plot my second point, okay? So y'all, let's go play with some of these. So I'm going to click to enlarge my graph. I'm going to grab my line tool, and started line is already highlighted by default. So y'all, what I do, find -4 on your y-axis. So that's going to go down, and then there's -4 right there. So I'm going to hit enter. And notice, as you move right on this, every single point up here in that little yellow banner has a y value of -4, don't it? So I'm going to go to 9, -4, and then I just click that one. But it don't matter as long as you're on this horizontal line somewhere, okay? So now, on the y values, greater than is above, less than will be below. So since that's greater than, I'm going to grab my paint can and put it above the line. Now we'll say this, y'all. The calculator cannot do the x's, but the calculator can do the y's. So what I have, -4, so put in a -4, and then I'm going to arrow left over here, and it's greater than, so I'm going to do the triangle that's bigger on top, and then I'm going to hit graph. And y'all look at that, it shaded above, just like on our problem we just did, okay? So it can do the y's, it just can't do the x's on the calculator. And y'all, there's our graph, so you save it and check your answer. So I'm gonna come back to this 4 again and do another one. So how about that? Y less than or equal to a 3. I'm gonna click my graph. Actually, these kind of lines I didn't mind because you don't have to figure out a lot of points. You can just make your horizontal and vertical lines and be done. All right, so it's got equals again, so I want to dot the 2-dot line tool, and then it's on solid line by default. So it's less than or equal to 3. So on my y-axis, I'm going to go up to 3 and click that. And then remember, left or right, anywhere you want. So I'm just going to go left this time. I got my horizontal line going across 3 on the y-axis. Oh, this one's less than though. So less than, I'm going to grab the paint and go below the line. Okay. So that means any y value that I shaded, all these y values are less than the y value of that line, okay? All right, so y'all have any questions on those straight lines, verticals or horizontals? All right, y'all, hang on 1 second. I gotta figure out hey, who is on iPhone 5? Chat me your name. Oh, y'all, I got one of y'all showing up as an iPhone 5. Whose name is this? All right, y'all, hang on a second here. Y'all, hang on 1 second. Let me try to get everybody here. All right, y'all, I got Monica here. I got Trisha. I got Darren. I got Aaron. All right, I got John. I got Miss Johnson in. I got Hildegard. I got Anna. So let's see. I need to know who is this iPhone 5. All right, y'all hang on just a second. All right, iPhone 5, who is it? All right, I want to put them out then. All right, y'all. So let's see. So, Miss Johnson, do you have access to Blackboard?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so what I'll do after class, I'm gonna have to reset the course agreement for you and Monica. And hopefully, Monica, they can get your Blackboard fixed for you, okay? All righty, so oh, hang on 1 second. I'm gonna fix that for y'all up here. Course agreement. All right, I'll get in that course agreement fixed so that y'all can be able to do it today, okay? All righty, y'all. So one more question to go through on this homework. And really, those first four, we're just getting y'all ready for the one that we got next. So we're going to graph a system of equations. So when graphing a system of equations, the solution.
Are we having to write this down?
Oh, you can. I send these videos out, so either way. Yeah, I'll send a video out after class. It usually takes me about an hour, but then I'll get the video out for y'all to have, okay? Um, so when graphing a system of equations, the solution is the double shaded region. Because the solution has to make it true for both equations. So the solution must be true for both equations. Okay, so let me find my question. Oh, y'all, let me go back and get that one off of Math Lab real quick. So that way we'll be able to shade it on Math Lab. All right, so number 5, let's see what they got here. Y is greater than or equal to x plus 4. And then y is less than or equal to 1 minus x. So you see the 4 answers they got. It looks like they're either double shaded on the bottom like A, the top like B, the right side like C, or the left side like D, okay? So let's go graph this and see where we get our solution. All right, I'll start with 5. I don't know how big I'll have to make this yet. And then we'll use the calculator too to graph this, okay? So I got to make a little table for each of these equations. Okay, so I'm just going to pick out 2 small numbers. I'll use a 0, and then I'm going to use a -4. So I put a 0 in here. 0 plus 4 is 4. So y'all, my first point on my first line is 0, 4. So starting at 0, I'm going to go up 4. And then I put a -4 in for my x, because -4 plus 4 gives me 0. So let's see, at -4, 1, 2, 3, 4, my y value was 0. Now notice when I draw the first line, I got equals under here, so this will be a solid line. This one was greater than, so I'm going to shade above the line. Now, y'all, at this point, I can tell you what. Y'all see where this one's shaded at? Well, there's only 2 possible answers, because it's either going to shade to the left or it's going to shade to the top. Nothing shaded on the right side and nothing shaded down, really. So let's see what happens on this line and where it's going to shade. So on this one, I'm going to use a 0 and 1. So if I put a 0 in for the x, 1 minus 0 is 1. So I got 0, 1 for that one. So 0 up 1. And then I'm going to put a 1 in for the x, because 1 minus 1 is 0. So y'all, my second point is 1, 0 right here. So this line is coming down through here. This one is less than, so we shade below the line. Now remember, up here we said the solution is the double shaded region. Well, y'all, right here on this left side, this is the double shaded region. The top region and then the bottom region. So the double shaded region is that little triangle on the left side. So if you go back and look at Math Lab, the one that's shaded on the left side would be D for me, okay? All right, y'all, let's knock this out on the calculator real quick. So the first one I would put into x plus 4. X plus 4. I'm going to arrow left. And that one's shaded above the line. So I'm going to hit enter until I get the triangle above. Now I'm going to go down to y2 and put in the other equation, which was 1 minus x. And then I'm going to go all the way left and hit enter till I get the triangle that's shaded below. So this one is bigger on the bottom. And y'all want to hit graph. And if you look at this, it's still double shaded on that left side there. It's got the vertical lines and the horizontal lines on that, okay? For MATLAB, we pick D and move on. All right, y'all, so questions on those?
So that's gonna be our homework.
You want now?
That's gonna be our homework.
Oh, yeah. Now,
Okay.
some of y'all were getting a little late to the game. So homework, if when you go into math labs, you're going to go into, actually, let me share that with you real quick. Let me go to, hang on a second, let me pull math lab up real quick. All right, y'all, so I'm gonna share my math lab screen real quick. When you log into Blackboard, you're going to see all this. On the left side, you'll see My Lab student links. You're going to click that. That's going to pull up all Math Lab assignments. Click that. And then it's going to have everything here. So course agreement is the first thing you got to do. It's not math related. It's just 5 or 6 questions, and you can only answer I agree on it. But y'all look here, we're down to, now I'm going to do support right after break. But we're down here on 3.7 now, so I've got videos in Blackboard for every section here, okay? So let me go back to the Blackboard. So if you'll go on the Blackboard on the left side, you see course content, lecture videos, and submission links. If you'll click that, it pulls up week 1, week 2, and everything. So last week we did week 1. So all these videos will cover everything from week 1, okay? Now we'll say the videos sometimes are longer than the actual homework assignments. But y'all, that's where you'll start. And we'll be a little sort of mellow today and tomorrow. So maybe y'all can get some of them all caught up and stuff. So tomorrow, y'all listen, tomorrow we're going to review for test 1. Okay. But now test 1 ain't due until Sunday night for this week, right? So
if you just got put in this class for like this week, do we still have to do week 1 work?
well, homework is 20% of your grade.
So I can still go back and see the videos in week 1 and do that and turn in? Because I just got in class. Okay.
Yeah, some of those might not be too hard on y'all.
Okay.
Some of those,
Each
a
week.
lot of section 1 was like, I don't know what you call it, building on your past, I guess you would say. It does a little bit of factoring, not factoring, but foiling and stuff like that in 2.3 and 2.4. But yeah, watch the videos if you wanna. The videos you can skip to go to whatever problem you're on, because I try to do them in order like the homework. So section 2.1 and 2.2 dealt with mainly graphing. 2.3, 2.4 started getting into domain stuff. And then you had 9.1 and 9.2. We dealt with what inverse functions and stuff like that. And then 3.5 and 3.6 dealt with systems of equations, which 3.5 and 3.6 were not bad. You can do them on the calculator pretty quick if you watch that video. And then what we did today was what, 3.7, okay? And y'all, thanks for this section. Let me pull something up real quick. All right, so y'all, we're going to take a break. We usually take a break about halfway through. So take a 10-minute break and then I'll come back and we'll knock out that support stuff, okay? It gets you ready for those inequalities in 3.7. So we're going to take a break. Let me pause my recording. And then we'll share our math lab. John, this starts out with the straight lines. So this one has us, now we're just graphing this. These ain't inequalities. These are just going to be lines, okay? So this is y equals 5. So I'm going to click on my enlarge graph. You're going to choose the line tool with the 2 dots. And then remember, y equals 5 is going to be a horizontal line. So find 5 on the y-axis. And then my second point, I can either go right or left as long as I'm on that horizontal line there, okay? So any point on that line has a y value of 5. So this in support, you just got to draw the line, save it, and check the answer. So y'all, this goes back to the past. What is the slope of a horizontal line? And y'all, the slope of a horizontal line is 0. Okay? Anytime you got a horizontal line, the slope is 0. So right here where it says m equals, you're going to put 0 there, okay? And then check your answer. So it's going to do that with the x's. So y'all, these got 4 pictures. I'm going to make them just a little bit bigger for you. So I'm going to ask y'all this. A, B, C, or D, which one of those has the graph of x equals 2? So remember, the x's are your vertical lines. So it's either got to be B or D. So let me look at B here. Looks like B is at -2 over here. So it's not B. So let me look at D. And y'all, if you look at D, that vertical line is crossing at 2 on the x-axis. So we would go with D on that one, okay? And check your answer. All right, so this is where it starts getting into shading on this. So let me, what do I got? Y greater than 6x. Remember, the thing you got to do, pick out two x values that you want to plug in there and multiply by 6. So the two easiest ones for me are 0 and 1. So if you put a 0 in for the x, 0 times 6 is 0. If you put a 1 in for the x, 6 times 1 is 6. Now, the things we got to remember. In MATLAB, you got to choose the line tool. It's greater than, so it's going to shade above. And there's no equals in here, so that has to be a dashed line. And then we said we're going to shade above. Okay, so this one they already had drawn for us. All right, so I'm going to go to y equals and clear all this out. So 6x. So 6 times x. All right, so we'll look at the table real quick by hitting the second graph. So y'all, there's my point. I had 0, 0. There's my 1, 6. You can do 2, 12. You can go up here and do some of these negative numbers if you want to. Okay, it don't matter. Now, this one was greater than, so if I go all the way left and hit enter until I get to triangle that's bigger above, when I graph this now, it'll show me which one I should pick. So it looks like I'm picking the one that's shaded to the left of the line going uphill. All right, y'all, so my line was going uphill left to right. So A is downhill. So B is uphill, but it's not shaded on the left side. So it looks like we're going to go with C. Shaded on the left side, and it's a dotted line. Okay? So you're going to check that answer. All right, so let me write this one down. Y less than or equal to x minus 2. Now you can see A and B got solid lines. C and D got dotted lines. Well, we got an equals under that less than. So it's got to be A or B, one of those two with the solid line. Okay? So you can pretty much guess it because you're less than. Well, A is greater than, B is less than. So y'all, I'm predicting B when we get done, so we'll see. All right, now I actually graph this one out. How about that? All right, so I'm going to make me an X and Y table. I'm going to use 0 and 1 again. 0 and 1 are easy numbers if you don't have any fractions here, okay? Well, let's put a 0 in. 0 minus 2 gives me a negative 2. If I put my 1 in, 1 minus 2 gives me a negative 1. So I've got my 2 points. 0, negative 2 is on the y-axis at negative 2. And then I had 1, negative 1. So go right 1 and down 1. All right, it had equals, so it's a solid line going through there. It's less than, so we're going to shade below the line. Okay, so we know it's going to be shaded below a solid line on that one, okay? And y'all, if you look, the one that's shaded below a solid line would be B on that one, okay? All right, you know they're always going to make one where you actually got to solve it, okay? So 5 is 4x plus a y is less than 2. So we got to solve this one before we can actually graph it. So y'all, the only thing is I want the y over here by itself. So this 4x has to move over here. So since the 4x is positive over here, to move it, we got to subtract it from both sides. So that 4x is canceled out. So I got my y on the left side. That's going to be less than. And then once again, these are not like terms, so we can't add them together. So I'm just going to put my negative 4x plus 2. Or you could do y less than 2 minus 4x. Now, it don't matter who goes first, the x's or the numbers. I usually always put my x's first, but you can do it like that, okay? And y'all, I'm going to use 0 and 1 again. So 0 times negative 4 is 0, and 0 plus 2 is 2. Now let me put a 1 in here. 1 times negative 4 is negative 4. Negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. So we got 2 points we can now graph. So y'all, I'm just going to go out 5 again. All right, so 0, 2 will be 0 on the x and up 2 on the y. 1 negative 2 will be 1 on the x and down 2 on the y. All right, there's no equals under this. So since it's just less than, this will be a dashed line. It's less than, so it's going to shade below the line. So y'all, we're looking for a dashed line, shade on the left side. So let's go find Math Lab. Oh, they actually got the 4 pictures again. So notice A and C are dashed lines, B and D are solid lines. So there's no way it can be B and D because they're solid. So we had ours was shaded below, so we would go with C on that one, okay? So y'all, that's the trick on those is the graph that line, make sure it's either solid or dashed, and then choose one that is less than or greater than, okay? So question on those. Hey, also that's the trick in this section is graphing it and shading it where the answers are, okay? Hey, I'm looking through my review here. All right, so I'm not doing anything else. That's the last material for y'all's first test. So tomorrow, we're going to review for the first test. Um, Test one will have 20 questions on it. And remember, the reviews are counted as a quiz, okay? Now you can do the review as many times as you want. The test only has one chance, okay? Now, I will say this, that test is exactly the same as the review. It has the same 20 questions in the same order. The only thing they change up are the numbers, okay? So we're going to go through my version of 20 questions tomorrow to get y'all ready for my first test. Now, here's the thing. So I got new students today. The homework will let you work past those due dates, okay? And it won't penalize you. So those are just recommended due dates to keep y'all on pace with me to get through this course in 5 weeks, okay? So Monica, unfortunately, you and Miss Johnson, y'all got 4 weeks to get through it. So here's what you want to do for sure. We'll get you good on the test tomorrow. Make sure y'all can pass my test for sure. And then as you go on, go back and do that old homework and just try to catch that up. Now, the new homework, you want to keep up with me on though, okay? So I would always do my new homework before I went back and mess with that old stuff, okay? That way you're with me and y'all can keep on the same track and you're not getting behind on stuff, okay? Because that, like I said, that first chapter of material was a lot of it's a review type stuff. Um, so y'all just play with that. I got videos to catch y'all up on that, but our main thing is to get good on this first test. Okay, y'all. All right, y'all. I'm gonna quit the recording actually.